Good evening, Denver fans, Broncos country, Avs Nation, Nuggets Nation, Rockies?
We're
Diamondbacks fans right now.
Yeah, exactly. Beat the Dodgers. Good
They're
evening,
anyone but the
everyone.
Dodgers.
Welcome to another Couch Potato Sports podcast. Denver Broncos, the main focus here, but hey, it's Avalanche opening night. So if you see us switching back and forth looking, it's because the Avalanche game's on, and we're trying to see that new third line. You know what I'm saying? Ross Colton.
I'm trying to see
on
some
those
happiness.
big boys. We acquired quite the firepower over the offseason and as of recent too. To kind of because we've been trying to figure out who is going to replace Nazem Kadri. Basically, find that second line center who can make something happen the way that Nazem Kadri did. We're not asking him to be an all-star. We're not asking him to be another McKinnon. We're just asking someone to come in clutch moments and make clutch plays so we can get the damn cup out of Vegas because it doesn't belong there. Vegas is not a hockey town. It's just a big entertainment shit show. That's all it is. And not trying to be a hater, but no, it doesn't belong in Vegas, okay? Like, I don't even want to get into it. Anyways, we're letting, as the great Peyton Manning said on the Monday Night Football broadcast, the Avalanche are letting the Vegas Golden Knights borrow it for a year, but then it's coming back because he wants to drink more beer out of it, more cold beer. So, because come to find out, Peyton Manning has drank cold beer out of the cup. So, he hasn't earned the cup, but hey, he's Peyton Manning. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So yes, have Avalanche playing tonight. We got to see a little bit of the Nuggets last night. Is it Struther, the preseason wonder right now? Is it Strather?
I don't know how you pronounce it, honestly.
I think it's Strather. That dude is a dog. The dude has that dog in him. And it's good to see. He's our first round pick out of Gonzaga this past draft. And I was watching a little bit of him, and he's giving me those Jamal Murray clutch vibes. Exciting to see basketball back, exciting to see hockey back. Two of the best teams in Colorado right now. The excitement surrounding the Colorado Buffs. So all in all, it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
Big picture.
Because if we focus all of our emotion into the Broncos, we're going to be miserable like we have been. But nonetheless, we're going to get into the Broncos. We're going to talk about it's time. Time has come. Tomorrow we play the Chiefs. I'm just going to say it. We're not going to win. We're not going to win this game. It would take, if we won this game, that would be true Denver Bronco fashion. With what the Denver Broncos do to their fans. Is that I could see them winning this game and then losing again the next week to the Packers. Just giving us a false sense of hope for some reason. But even then, it would take the Broncos winning out for me to have any kind of faith in this season.
I don't believe you, Zach. I don't believe you. If they want to,
you better believe, because I'm in a different state of mind, man.
If they beat the Chiefs tomorrow, and then the Packers, Zach's back. Zach is back.
No. Honestly, I'd be kind of triggered because I'm like, what are you guys doing? I don't understand this. It'd be kind of one of those little moments, like. So, but we're not going to win. Like, I'm just trying to be realistic about it. And then come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, possibly as late as Monday, we're going to start seeing some trades happen. I have a feeling. I know Sean Payton came out and said, which is weird. I kind of wish he didn't say that. His little white lie saying that players aren't being shopped right now. That's a lie.
Everybody knows that's a lie.
Yeah.
They might not be shopping them, but they're not rejecting the calls.
Right, exactly. It's like, What are you saying that because you don't want your players to give up? They already gave up. You just watched the film with Sutton and Judy running their routes, not running, walking their routes.
Right.
Essentially, they're
Disgrace.
done. They don't want to be here anymore.
Pathetic.
You know? I think it's time. Little introduction. I think it's time to essentially pave the way, rebuild our identity, because what we have going on right now, we will never beat the Chiefs unless we start to rebuild this team and get with the damn program along with the rest of the NFL. We have been so far behind the NFL since that Super Bowl year. It's disgusting. And I'm tired of it. Broncos country's tired of it. I am ready to just blow it up. I want to see the rookies play. I want to see the future on the field of this franchise. And gain that draft capital while you can. I want to see Justin Simmons. I would rather see Justin Simmons go to the Eagles, go to the 49ers, a winning organization, so he can compete for a Super Bowl. That's where I'm at because he deserves it. He has put so much damn effort and time into this franchise. He does so much for his community. As much as I would be sad for him to leave because I love Justin Simmons, I want him to get what he deserves. And he's not going to get that here right now. And
so with that being said, should Bowles go to the Cardinals?
Yeah. I'll get into Bowles. I have a thing with Bowles actually. But with Justin Simmons, like of anyone of this team that could be possibly be traded, I think Justin Simmons, you deserve to go to a team like the Dolphins, the Lions even, or the 49ers, the Eagles, hell, even the Bills. Any of those teams that have a chance to make it far, just not the Chiefs. Please don't go to the Chiefs.
No one in the West.
No team.
No one in the West.
No Chiefs. I don't think he would do us like that. But
I don't think it's up to him.
Right.
I don't think Sean Payton,
I don't think the organization would do it.
Or George Payton. Hopefully not.
By the way, first goal of the season scored.
Hey!
Let's go.
What was that?
None other
McKinnon?
than McKinnon.
Nice. There we go. Well, there
Should've made
goes
the
the
bet.
bet. It's one of my – I had a 3-leg parlay today going, and Mac had to get a goal. So there we go.
Nice.
There we go. Anyways, though, yeah, I feel like, and at this point, if you're trying to salvage the team, you're just rearranging deck furniture on the Titanic, really. So it's a sinking ship. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Just build a new ship.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know how my thoughts on this franchise and this season are, because I've been pretty blunt about it, especially last pod when I was just obviously pissed off about beating the Bears, and then I wasn't ready to commit to, like, I know you guys were like still on the edge, like, well, if they beat the Jets and they got a 2-game little win streak going into KC, and I was already far gone. And then just like, you guys have obviously seen the stuff with Judy and Slareth, right?
Yeah.
I just want to say 2 years ago, Anthony, I said I didn't like Judy.
Yeah.
And you talked me out of it. And then last year I said again, I don't like Judy.
Mm-hmm.
The thing for like Judy for me, like, I think he is far and away the most talented receiver on the team. I think he's never been in his life seen this kind of losing on any level, and I think he's just over it. So I think that's what you're seeing. But I remember watching Jerry Jeudy in college, and I remember talking to my brother about it. And I'm like, dude, this Jerry Jeudy guy out of Alabama, like, is that dude? Like, I would love to see him in a Broncos jersey one day. And on that draft night, I'm like, please no Henry Ruggs. Please, there was all these rumors floating around about who they were thinking about drafting, and I wanted Judy so bad, and I was like through the moon. But it's obvious that it has not worked out here. The problem that I've had with Judy, obviously, the play of late with just like zero effort, but then just like the way he's just like really running his mouth especially like Denver legends like Philip Lindsay and Mark Schlereth, like
Rod Smith.
Smith. Yeah. Like Denver Broncos royalty, Colorado sports royalty. Like, it's time. And then he went, obviously, you guys saw, he went out and followed all of the Panthers, tons of Panthers players on Instagram. It's like, you want to get to a better situation. Like,
but you want
they're one of the only winless teams. Are they the
Right.
only winless team?
Yeah.
They are the only winless team.
Yeah.
But I understand because he'd be back with, I mean, I don't think he ever played with Bryce Young, but the Alabama connection's there. And they are a young and up and coming roster. But who knows? I think he's like traded for sure. Like after the Broncos lose to the Chiefs, I think he's the first chip that falls. Sutton, I don't know. I don't know if somebody's willing to take on that contract. I remember our boy Ben Albright mentioning that the only team that was like close to trading for Sutton in the offseason were the Ravens. And they might still be interested because their super talented receiving core that everybody was excited about is really only one player deep, and it's Zay Flowers, and he's kind of having some ups and downs on his rookie season. But
maybe we pay the rest of his season out.
let me throw this out there, and I saw this on Twitter last night. Just some guys commenting on Ben Albright's tweets because there's like rumors that the Panthers don't want to get rid of any more draft capital in any trades because of the fact that they don't have much because they traded a ton of it to move up first overall to get Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And this name got brought up, and I love this dude coming out of college. And you don't hear about him too much, but he's a stud. What would you guys say to Jerry Jeudy and Jeremy Chin, or Jerry Jeudy for Jeremy Chin straight up? And if you guys don't know, Jeremy Chin is the nephew of Broncos Ring of Famer and NFL Hall of Famer Steve Atwater. So there's that connection as well. And I think if you were to get a guy like Jeremy Chin
Is he a
and
rookie?
throw him, he's been in the league. I think this probably
He's still on his rookie deal.
Yeah,
I think he's still on his rookie deal for sure.
Yeah, he's still on his rookie deal.
Is he good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Him and Justin Simmons
that would
together.
assume. I was going to. I think Simmons would be gone in that situation. Isn't he free safety?
I don't care, dude. I understand like the free safety, strong safety stuff. I don't care. Like, if you have two talented safeties, they can figure it out because.
And Jeremy Chin gets used in like a linebacker role, quite
linebacker hybridish role. Yeah, exactly. He's a bigger body guy. He can cover.
Is he
good.
somebody
I like
you could?
I'm in.
You could rebuild with them
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's young.
because that's what I'm looking for. I
Right.
don't want these salty veterans that come in and try to win us a
Jeremy
Super Bowl.
Chin is 25 years old.
Yeah, he's on
6'3", 220. Oh man.
But I don't
Yeah,
know if
he's a
Justin
stud.
Simmons is going to be here.
I honestly do not see Justin Simmons getting traded. And I don't want him to. Obviously, like you were saying, Zach, and I understand, like, he doesn't deserve this and he needs to go to somewhere that he can actually win in. But maybe it's just the
But if you
fan
could
in
get a
me.
third, would you do it?
No, because because one thing that we've been, especially you, Zach, have been preaching like before this Jets game was like you were mentioning how you listened to the Terrell Davis talking about, getting some wins so you can start building some sort of culture. I don't think it's beneficial to like strip, like just because someone's a good player does not mean trade them away and get draft capital, because I promise you, the player that we trade Justin Simmons for a third round pick, I promise you the guy that we go draft is probably not going to be as good as Justin Simmons.
That's a good point. But I mean,
And I understand
Yeah,
like,
I
he's one of
view
those
it as,
players.
you could get a third round and reinforce it for a trade for somebody else.
Yeah, but
But-
at that point, what do you? If
I don't
you're
want to get
trading
rid
him-
of Justin Simmons,
Right.
but I'm just trying to think of what's best for the team,
I mean, I think the receivers are like obviously the highest. Like they're probably the ones getting traded. I think
I'm
Judy's
in
as
on
good as
Chin,
gone.
whether Simmons is here or not. I'm in on that Chin deal. I think that is
Yeah.
a great move for the Broncos. You're solidifying that defense first of all, and even more in your secondary. You
Yes.
bring in a solid number two, or Riley Moss, or somebody emerges as that guy. mean, you've got you've got a top secondary in the league at that point.
Yeah.
And especially Jeremy Chin, he's a guy he's a run stuffer. He's going to be in the middle of the field, and he's going to lay a smack on the running back's chin, right in the pocket. So I'm in on this deal, man. I like it. I like it a lot.
Has there been any talks like
that? Was just kind of, there was rumors floating around that the Panthers obviously they want to trade for a number one receiver. Like that's what they keep talking about is number one receiver.
See Jeudy as a number one.
I think the talent is there. I mean, that's obviously we don't know, but it just makes a lot of sense, especially with Evero being there in Carolina.
The Alabama connection, that might be a bigger deal than we might think with Bryce Young.
Yeah, and I think just the fact that Jeudy went on and followed tons of Panthers players.
Yeah.
Like from what I heard, that he has not asked for a trade, but he obviously did go do that. But that was just Twitter talk, because there's speculation that the Panthers don't have the capital to trade for much. They don't want to get rid of more draft capital because of what they already gave up to go get Bryce Young. But like if you just like search Jeremy Chin on Google, literally the first article that pops up is, should the Panthers trade Jeremy Chin?
Right.
So there's just like kind of some smoke there. And then just like obviously the connection with Steve Atwater. I mean, he's obviously a legend here. He's involved with the media here. And I mean, that would be sweet. And you're trading a player that, I mean, we don't need Jeudy anymore. I always held out hope that he was going to turn into what I expected him to be. And I think the talent is there for him to be like one of those top guys in the league. You know, maybe not top 5, but a number 1 on a good team. But it's over. It's just over. And you're getting rid of him, allowing Marvin Mims, who's been our most explosive receiver, our most explosive pass catcher by far, allowing him to run
Marvin
more routes.
Mims has always been somebody that we hoped Jeudy would turn into.
Yeah. Well, they're just different. I mean, they're not even the same. It's not even the same.
As far as like explosive.
Well, I mean, even in that sense, like I don't think they're necessarily the same type of player, but just the production obviously has never been where we wanted it from Jerry Jeudy. Yeah. But to be able to trade Jerry Jeudy for a guy like Jeremy Chin that will help the defense, which is obviously the defense has been the major problem. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. But, you know, that's just something that I saw floating around that I thought was interesting. And I was like, sign me up. I'm down. Other than like the receivers, maybe Bowles, but he's got kind of a hefty contract. I don't know if guys want to trade for that contract. I don't know.
The thing about Bowles is Bowles is actually a person I wouldn't be quick to trade, because trying to find a left tackle in this league is hard enough. And I fear that if you get rid of Bowles, it's just going to be a revolving door on that left side of the offensive line for quite some time until you eventually find that franchise staple left tackle. So you have him under contract. You might as well hold on to him. He's been decent enough for what we need him for. So I wouldn't be too quick to trade Bowles. I would advocate to hold on to him, actually, because you know what you have in him. He's decent enough to buy you some time versus everyone else on the offensive line. Him and Powers have been like the stronger people.
Right. Well, Ewers has been, according to Pro Football Focus,
Miners.
Sorry, why did I say Ewers? I'm sorry. Yeah. Miners has been like by far the best lineman.
Yeah, and then McFlinchy and Cushenberry are like the stepchildren on our offensive line right now.
Yeah,
so
seriously. And I was honestly surprised that Cushenberry is the starting center. I thought coming into this season, like after what he did last year, I thought he was going to be replaced very quickly. But, you know, there's obviously games or moments throughout the first handful of games that like our tackles will get beat. Get out of here, dog. Go. But it hasn't like been like this glaring thing like in past years where I'm like, oh my god, our offensive line is so bad. So yeah, I kind of agree with keeping Bowles around, and he's one of those other guys that if you trade him, are you going to get somebody better than him right away?
Right.
That's why it makes so much sense. Like that's why it made sense to trade Randy Gregory, because you knew getting rid of him, we had guys already ready to fill that hole and outperform him. If we trade Jerry Jeudy, we have someone already ready to fill that hole and more than likely outperform him, like he already has been doing this season, and Mims obviously. But yeah, with a guy like Bowles, a guy like Simmons, like our safety depth is already so rough right now. And I understand, like, I'm all for like tearing this down, rebuilding it, but I just don't want to create more holes that you have to patch necessarily.
I agree, and I mean, if we do end up making Simmons a lifelong player, I'm all about it, because I think Simmons is that caliber of a player for us. He's a positive influence in the locker room too.
Right.
He's a pure leader. He's I would argue to say he's the best leader we have.
Oh yeah.
Even over Russ.
Absolutely.
Because Russ is just like, he's a good leader, but he's just always just happy-go-lucky all the time. Whereas Justin Simmons, probably he'll get in someone's ass.
Right.
You know? So it would be nice to rebuild with him. It just, if he's willing to do that, you know. Right. I understand as a player you always want to win, and he's never won since being in the league. He came to us in 2016, and that was his only winning season, 9-7. Mm-hmm. And since then, it's just been he's only known loss. So, but I have confidence he's the type of player to not let that get to him. His mentality and just the way he views life and just the caliber of person he is. He's like the closest thing to Peyton Manning we have since Peyton Manning left, as far as like mentality and leadership. So to keep him would be great. I just don't know if he's going to be here. I don't know.
Have you heard any like rumors about Simmons or anything?
I've heard a lot of talk about him being moved.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
him.
I haven't seen anything.
Sutton, Bowles, and Frank Clark are the big names being talked about.
Yeah, Frank Clark for sure.
Yeah.
Which that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything. He's a role player. He'll go to if he's even that good still, you know. He's the type of player that you put on the 49ers as like a rotational guy. Hey, Fred Warner, you need like or not Fred, because he's an inside linebacker.
Outside. No, he's outside edge guy.
Or who is it? Greenlaw? Is he outside?
I think Greenlaw is inside too. But yeah, guys to spell guys like Bosa here and there. I mean, Frank Clark, his big moments were always just in the playoffs with the Chiefs. Like he wasn't ever competing for, you know, most sacks in the league or putting up crazy numbers. Right. But he just performed well and under the bright lights, and there ain't gonna be no bright lights here in Denver this season or probably next. So
exactly. But I'm fine with that for next year if it's a rebuilding year. Like we have the new foundation put in place. We have all of our new draft picks, and you know, we drafted some real stud players. Speaking of which, there was also some things I heard today and on Twitter as well about the Broncos possibly giving the GM role to Sean Payton as well, where he's just in charge of all football operations.
That was one of the biggest reasons I didn't. That was one of my reasons for not wanting to hire. Yeah, not wanting to hire Sean Payton, because I do really like George Payton. I mean, for the most part, he's made obviously now, hindsight's 2020, but I remember like every move he was making was like, yep. Well, Elway could never do this. Like he signed Simmons to a long-term extension right away. He went and traded or signed Kyle Fuller, which at the time was like, oh, that's huge because he was one of the better corners in the league at the time. You know, obviously drafting Pat Surtain, and even when he signed Randy Gregory, it was like, oh, cool, we got a stud pass rusher now. obviously some things have not fallen the way that they anticipated, but that was the biggest concern with hiring Sean Payton over other head coaches was like he is going to eventually take over that GM role, and George Payton will be gone. And
I just don't
seems
think
like
George
that's probably what's
Payton
going to
makes
happen.
it, you know?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not after trading Randy Gregory for a freaking late round pick. And, it's just some of the moves he's making are kind of like starting to come back to bite him, and it's really hurting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys heard the news that came out today about Greg Penner becoming the controlling owner officially as of today. I think that is really the first step in all these heads starting to roll, these trades starting to be made. There's now kind of like one official vision at the top. You don't have kind of all these sure, there's still the collective group of people that are owners, but he's officially the controlling owner. He kind of has the authority to call the shots, So I think we're going to, like you guys said, as soon as this game's over, after we have a really tough time watching tomorrow night, as I'm sure it's going to go, we're going to start seeing some trades, some firing. I think it's going to start rolling really quick here.
Yeah,
but I don't see the point in firing Vance Joseph still.
I don't think that's going to happen.
What good would it do?
I don't think it'll happen during season. Not a point, like you said.
Yeah, it'll probably happen in the offseason for sure. But what can you? You're not trying. If you're trading away players and you're trying to get draft capital, you're tanking. Like, let's just call it what it is.
And we have the worst defense in the league, so why not keep that guy?
A historically bad defense.
Why risk?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, why? So there was an example that happened with Philip Lindsay brought that up, and I was listening to it earlier this afternoon. He said when he was on the Colts, when they went through that whole Jeff Saturday situation, they brought in an intern to be the defensive coordinator. And he was 30 years old. He was the youngest defensive coordinator in the league, and he's trying to find a position. They still lost, and they still did horrible. And that intern didn't get an opportunity to even interview for that job next year. So it's like, not only does it not make sense, but it could also be like screwing someone over,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You adopt this defense the way it is, like, nah. Vance Joseph, you're going to carry this out 17 seasons. You're going to own this defense.
You could also get the Jerry Rosburg effect of last year, and all of a sudden your team looks way better.
Yeah.
Now we got a top 5 defense, top 10 defense back, and
I'm too tired to even get in that mindset.
I'm saying we don't want to risk that.
Right, exactly. Like, it's just you keep him around. But you next year, and I'm sure he knows it too, that he should be working on his resume, and finding a new team.
Shouldn't have a job next year.
He's probably going to be a defensive backs coach again. He's probably going to get demoted. If he wants a job in the NFL, he's not going to be defensive coordinator next year. Right. He's going to go back to his roots and build himself back up. So
I saw a great example of why the Broncos, well, not an example, but like a great description of why the Broncos are in the state they're in. And I wish I remembered who I saw it from or heard it from to give them the credit, but they said the Broncos roster is like just a bunch of misfit toys because they span, is this the 4th coach now that some of these guys have played for? Or just on the
Simmons
roster
has been the most consistent. He had Gary Kubiak.
Well, what I'm trying to say is like there's 4 different coaches that have picked players that are currently on this roster right now.
Yeah.
And you can't win that way. Like there's not many, like look at the great teams in the NFL right now. They have stability at head coach. The head coach has year after year brought the players he's wanted, the players that his coaching staff has wanted to build the kind of team they want. Like this team is supposed to, like, the whole purpose of this offense was to run the shit out of the ball and to open up plays downfield. And obviously Javante's still coming back from injury and got hurt again. Jaleel McLaughlin has been like a huge bright spot, but other than that, like we're not running. Yeah, we're not. Yeah, exactly. Another underused player on offense, but they're not exactly like doing what Sean Payton wants to do on offense. And then on the defense, like me and my boss were actually talking about this. And I know Alex Singleton has played really well for us. But like he was like just a depth piece with the Eagles before he came here. And now you are
He's
thrown
not going to
in
be starting anywhere else.
Yeah, you are thrown into the spotlight and you're the next to Josie, like you guys are calling the defense. Like there's just not this isn't the team that Sean Payton wants roster-wise. This isn't the team that he envisions building up or the team. This isn't the roster that he like. I don't think he even thinks that he can win with what's happening right now. And it's just probably going to take some time. And that's why I hope it's not one of those things that Sean Payton came back to the NFL, got his taste, and he's going to leave. Like I think for the best thing for the Broncos is to have Sean Payton here at least through his contract and just see what we can build. And who knows if Sean Payton's even up for that, because he's one season without Breeze, struggles, and he's out the door, leaving the Saints in a really bad spot. So I would hope that he came into this Broncos position with the mindset of like sticking it out and trying to build something, and not just, I'm Sean Payton, so boom, here we are, and we're going to be good because I'm Sean Payton and I'm a great coach. So I really hoped that Sean Payton's here for a long time, and I think that it like after this Chiefs game is when it kind of starts, like him really putting this team and like or getting the players he wants on this roster and on the field. And just this is where it starts. Like we've been talking about it for years. Like we just want to see an actual rebuild now. They should have done it a long time ago, and it is time to just tear it down. Obviously, the only absolutely untouchable player is PS2. Like for some people he has the most trade value. Of course he does. It's because he's the best corner in football. But you are not
you're
going
to try and
trade
get 2
him.
first-round draft picks, but
you're never going to get what he's actually worth.
Yeah,
exactly.
Those 2 players that you get out of there are more chances than not, or more likely than not, to be as impactful as Patrick Surtain.
Right. And real quick, just going off of what Anthony was talking about with Sean Payton being here, the consistency, even if it doesn't end up working out the way we envision it, and this, ends up being just kind of mediocre through a few years, looking at the future and moving forward after that, it's going to be good for the next coach to have kind of a more established roster and not have the misfit, the misfit toys, as you put it, Anthony. Because you'll have those players that are set up to be in a certain scheme and have some consistency with each other. So moving forward, the next coach would have, at least you would think, have a little bit more success than right off the bat than what we've seen.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully that's like.
But we want it to work.
10 years down the road.
Of course.
Yes, he's under a 5-year contract, $100 million, right?
Yeah. No, we want it to work.
So hopefully we extend him for another 3, then another 2 or whatever. Get 10 years out of Sean Payton. So that's where I couldn't agree more with you guys and what you guys are saying. I will be excited on Sundays to watch this team if what we say happens after Thursday. Just stop with the season. Nothing's going to come out of it. Just stop. Look towards the future. Sean Payton, start building your team. Send your scouts out. I'm sure he already has. Start looking in the draft for players, especially in the late rounds. See if you can find the diamond in the rough within that draft class this year. You already did pretty well. You got McLaughlin. Marvin Mims. those are two solid players. Drew Sanders, he has a lot of potential. Riley Moss, a lot of potential. There's for his first draft class. Granted, it was with George Payton, who probably won't be here next year. I'd say
and with limited picks.
What's that?
And with limited amount of picks as well.
Yeah. So he hit pretty well on a draft that was pretty limited, which is impressive. So far.
Right. We were saying this about it almost every draft class over the last couple of years.
Right.
But I've liked what I've seen out of McLaughlin. You definitely need to see more of him. So
who was undrafted, right?
Yeah, undrafted. Yeah. And the Broncos like doing that.
Yeah.
And
I think of what you were saying, alluding to the point you were saying, Anthony. Sean Payton is known to be great with putting the players that he picks in the situations to win. I imagine it's been a challenge for him to figure out what to do with these players that that kind of just fell in his lap when he took this job.
Yeah.
He thought he could do something with this team. Turns out it was a lot more challenging than he thought. So it will be nice for him to have his players that he wants, that he knows he can, I can scheme up this with this player because of his skill set. Or with these offensive linemen that I have, we can run this kind of scheme for the offensive line, like the zone scheme or whatever kind of scheme. Or McLaughlin, I loved McLaughlin. I saw a lot of potential in him as an undrafted free agent. I'm going to pick him up and we can utilize him and we can develop plays for him, especially for him, like what he did with Alvin Kamara, or finding the Michael Thomases or players like that. You know what I mean? Right. I am excited for him to have the opportunity to bring in his own players and put them in positions to win because he knows how to work with the players that he hand selected. It was a tall task for him to come in, especially come to find out. But it was always a tall task for him to come in and adopt this team that was under Vance Joseph, Vic Fangio, all of these different coaches.
Hackett.
And John Elway still has some of his influence here, right?
I'm sure.
Yeah, so and Hackett, and just come in and just expect to win. So it's a harsh reality, but it's the reality. And it's time to move forward. It's time to rebuild. And I'm excited for it. I'm tired. I am so tired of just watching a terrible football team every Sunday and then watching Sunday night football and just being like, why can't we be like that? Why can't we just be competent? Why does it always have to be, the Broncos is the worst offense we've seen since 1918, or the Broncos defense is the worst defense in the history of the NFL. No, I would take average over that. I don't want to be breaking these records that are not good records. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
We are the laughingstock of the NFL. The Denver Broncos are the laughingstock of the NFL right now.
It's true too, because especially because of the status of our quarterback and now the status of our head coach. And that brought a ton of, obviously right off the bat last year when Russ got here, it was high expectations from everybody, obviously for good reason. But then Russ started doing the let's ride stuff and it brought more attention. It's God, I hope he's good. I hope this works out. And when it didn't, everything got thrown back. And now there's a ton of Russ hate, even this year. And Russ is obviously not the problem, not the biggest problem. He's his moments, but
the solution,
Exactly. Right. And so even this year, you have to remind people his stats are better than Patrick Mahomes, but it's all Russ's fault.
Yeah.
Oh, Russ, I think I forget his name. He's on First Take on ESPN. He literally said, I wish I could remember his name. I saw him the other day. He said, when they were talking about the Broncos, he's one that he does the show with Rex Ryan. That's why Rex Ryan's talking all this shit about how he should have been hired and stuff. I forget his name, but he literally commented and said, Russell Wilson looks the worst I've ever seen him in his career. It's like, just that's because you're not watching.
Yeah. Did you watch last year?
Exactly. And it's like, and he's not been bad, but the biggest thing for me when it comes to Russ, like, that contract needs restructured if you want to stick around. And even if, like, I don't think I saved it, but like, I found like a breakdown of his contract this morning, and like, it is big boy numbers, and we're not getting it. Like, he's not worth it right now. He's not. And that was another George Paton mistake, is I think he had at least one more year on his deal that we traded for. I mean,
he would have been gone.
Yeah. I mean, it was a mistake. Exactly. This would have been like, this is your make or break year and see you later. Like, but that's another notch against, that's another notch against George Paton's belt, is you gave him this mega deal. And I'm even at the time, and we said it on this podcast, like, it makes sense, because if he comes in with Nathaniel Hackett, this young, hot offensive mastermind, and tears the roof off the joint, he's going to be even more expensive. So yeah, just get the deal done. He's our future, franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future. I mean, and that's just the part that sucks with George Paton, is that everything he did, we praised him big time for it. And it just hasn't worked out the way that we all anticipated it. So now he's standing there with egg on his face. And as much as it pains me to say, like, George Paton is part of the reason that they are in this hole that they're in right now. And Russell Wilson is unfortunately part of the reason. Dude, next year we have no money. Like, I think I did say this. Let me see if I can find it really quick.
And yeah, if we cut Russell Wilson, I think it's like an $85 million dead cap or something crazy.
And that's fine. Just get rid of it.
I agree.
Start it now.
But it's just like, George Paton, like, I love you, man, but you really messed this up.
Yeah. So
it's like, I want to cut him a break, because Russell Wilson has shown nothing but greatness in his entire career. So it has to be like one of the biggest upside down situations ever. Like, I can't think of another situation besides the Herschel Walker trade back in the day. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, I found it. So
you gave up so much, and then you have such little return, and your investment is tanking. And even if your investment's doing well, it's not helping the team because of the state of the team. Your team wasn't ready for Russell Wilson. I think that's what it comes down to. It's your team wasn't ready for a guy like Russell Wilson to come in and start winning. And
so I found what I was looking for. Hold on. So it's a graph that shows every team in the NFL, and on one axis it's the 2024 effective salary cap space, and on the other axis it's the 2023 winning percentage. The Broncos are in a world of their own. They, based on the graph, show they'll be about negative $20 million in cap in 2024. And they obviously have one of the worst winning percentages in the league. But something I just noticed looking on here, you know who's in the worst cap nightmare in the entire league? It's the franchise that Sean Payton just left. That's what scares me about Sean Payton. So I hope he, like I said earlier, I hope he is the head coach here for a long time, but I hope he just learned from his past mistakes in New Orleans and doesn't repeat them here, because he put New Orleans in cap hell, and then just, Breeze is gone. We're not winning up to par. I'm bouncing, and just kind of left them there to figure it out on their own. I hope that he's learned from that, and he's going to say we're already in cap hell next year unless we start offloading some of these contracts. Hopefully, get Russ to rework his contract, or just lose Russ completely, and really just like start trying to do the rebuild that we keep bringing up. Like, I hope Sean Payton is like, if you want to be great, like and he obviously wants to be great. Like, before he came here, I'm confident saying he's a Hall of Fame head coach.
Yeah,
he still could be, and he still probably is. But like, you want to add to that Hall of Fame resume? Take the Broncos, a historic franchise, back to relevancy, back to the promised land, like, and do it right. Don't try to do it overnight like we've done, like every coach and Elway used to try to do, and what we've been doing since we lost or since we won the Super Bowl. Like, everything's been so like, just patch this whole, we needed a corner, so we went and just got Pat Surtain, which obviously worked out. But I'm trying to think of other examples. Like, Russ was a big one. We don't have a quarterback. We'll just go trade the future. We got the quarterback. Just patching these holes when it's like, there's no foundation here. There's like really no foundation at all. So like, let's start building the foundation. And that's obviously through draft capital, smart free agency signings, not going out and spending the most money you possibly can. So, man, I agree with you guys. Like, it's just depressing. Like, I've never even thought about it like you brought it up, Zach. Like, we're literally watching like now the worst defense in history. And last year it was one of the worst offenses in history. And it's like, just give us something to look forward to. Like we said it last week, we don't necessarily, it's like a chore to watch these damn games.
Yeah. It's on the bright side. I'm viewing this situation right now. Remember this moment. Starting now, starting tomorrow night, will be the last football game that we watch with the impression of moving on with this roster. And it'll be the last football game we watch in the mindset. Obviously, we have a whole season with this roster, but tomorrow night will be the start of a new beginning for the Denver Broncos. And I want you guys to remember this moment because I'm confident that rebuilding, bringing in the players, establishing the culture, stop hopping from coach to coach to coach is going to do nothing but help this franchise. And I think you're going to have the fans on your back too.
Oh, they're ready, dude.
We're ready. I mean, I can't tell you how many Broncos fans I know that are just like, let's just rebuild. Like, this has been a long time coming. Let's just do it. I would be willing to give the franchise 3 to 4 years to get back to greatness. You know, look at the Lions. They've been not a comparable franchise at all. I'm not saying that. But they held out hope with Dan Campbell, and now look at him. This is his third season as a head coach, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Fourth. And he's a Sean Payton predecessor. You know, he's a Sean Payton person on his tree. Just give Sean Payton time to bring in his players. And I'm willing to guarantee that this team's not going to be the way it's been the last decade. Like, this decade for us is going to forever be the decade of infamy in Broncos history. But I feel like this decade is a defining moment for us fans where we just look back and we're getting ready to watch a divisional round of football with the Broncos playing, and we're just going to be like, wow, that was a terrible time.
Yeah.
But I remember talking, you know, with Anthony and Jimmy, or Zach and Anthony, or Jimmy and Anthony, just saying like, or Jimmy and Zach, whatever, and just saying like, this is it. Like, we're finally doing this. We're finally taking the plunge. We're putting ourselves and our franchise in a super uncomfortable situation of rebuilding. And it's gonna pay off in dividends. But you have to see it through. You have to let it play itself out.
There's
And
no
after
shortcuts.
4 years, it doesn't. Like, it is what it is, but you got it. I don't see why it wouldn't with Sean Payton, because he's done it before. He knows what to do.
Yeah.
If there's any coach that you have confidence in to rebuild this franchise and bring a franchise from the lowest to the low with the, remember the Saints back in the day with the fans wearing the paper bags? Sean Payton comes in. What was it, like 3-4 years later, he brought him to a Super Bowl. So
Right.
it's got to be patient. I'm excited. I want to see the rookies play. I don't want to see Judy or Sutton anymore. If I'm being completely honest with you, I'm kind of just really turned off on them right now.
I'm over it.
I'd rather see Brandon Jacobs and Mims taking the charge. Bring
Brandon
back
Johnson. Yeah.
Keep Tim Patrick as a veteran presence, because I know he gets hurt a lot, but keep him over Sutton and Judy.
The big thing for me too is like, I don't want the Broncos to completely deplete the talent on this roster, especially like, say we are drafting top 2 or 3, and we do get a chance. Maybe not. We don't get Caleb Williams, but Drake May is sitting there.
Caleb Williams. We're manifesting it. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting him.
I really don't know if the Panthers will win a game, so we'll just give the. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, I really hope
Panthers don't have their first round and Bears have it. So yeah, that's a good point.
Right, but who knows? Justin Fields all of a sudden.
Out of that? Does that count?
No.
Yeah. So
I don't think so.
It would basically go off of division wins then, right? Is that how it works? Like, who out of the Panthers and the Broncos, who has the most division wins? And then if the Panthers have more division wins, we get the number 1?
I don't know. I honestly don't know that.
I wonder how they would do that tiebreaker. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Either division wins or like
the
opponents.
Panthers aren't drafting number 1 or going to
go
like
opponents.
Quarterback.
Yeah, I think Jimmy's
they're
right.
not even drafting, but
well, that's funny too, because like I saw Albright tweet last night, and he said like it does not matter who the teams are that pick 1 and 2 next year. The first 2 picks in the draft will be Caleb Williams and Drake May, as long as they, enter the NFL. So obviously, say the Bears get the top 2 picks, they're not taking 2 quarterbacks. So, but say the Broncos do end up landing Caleb Williams or Drake May, a future hopeful franchise quarterback. Like, I don't want them throwing to freaking undrafted free agent receivers and stuff.
No. You have Mims, you have
I know, but
Tim
like
Patrick, and then you have Brandon Jacobs.
Brandon Johnson. Just still like
Johnson. I keep saying Jacobs.
Yeah. Brandon Jacobs was a stud back in the day.
He was in the Giants, right?
Yeah, Giants running back. Yep. But I just don't want it to be like completely depleted. And we have to remember too that we don't have a second rounder next year. Maybe that's where Judy, trading Judy comes in.
Yeah, not yet.
Right. So hopefully they could, if there's anything that George Payton has really shown, is that he can like move players, get draft capital, be smart in the draft with moving around and acquiring more picks and stuff. So hopefully that's something that happens. But that's the hard part, and it's obviously above. There's smarter people than us dealing with that, like, because you don't want to bring a quarterback. This guy.
We're pretty smart.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. But you don't want to bring in like the future franchise quarterback and just have nobody here. And that's why, like, I really hope Simmons isn't gone, and keep his O-line intact, because at least a majority of them, like Cushenberry, he can bounce. I would not be upset at all if they just cut ties with him. But hopefully there are good players that they can keep around, because I said a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, that like maybe the Broncos just aren't that talented. But that comment that I saw somebody make on Twitter last night about it's not necessarily that the Broncos don't have talented players. It's just that their talents don't mesh. They're the misfit toys of a roster, and it's not, their talents don't mesh well together to produce on the football field. So I just hope that I think we can keep talent around and without or keep talent around and still be able to drain or gain draft capital and, start this rebuild.
Well, you need to have a heart-to-heart with Sutton then.
Yeah.
You need to sit him down and be like, listen, man, you're not going to pull that shit again because I will get rid of you.
I didn't see
I will send
the
you
Sutton stuff.
I will send you to the Giants.
The thing is with Sutton is, I mean, you can move Sutton and bring in a guy like Jarvis Landry. You can move Sutton and bring in a handful of veteran guys that can be as productive as Sutton. But I do agree, Anthony. I don't think you should completely strip all the talent away, especially at the O-line. If we're talking about getting a guy like Caleb Williams or possibly Drake May, Pro Football Network has us ranked as the 14th offensive line right now, which is average. We're right in the middle of the pack, which I'll take with a young quarterback. We don't want to risk, like Zach said, getting rid of Bowles and then having the revolving door there, like we've seen our right tackle for so many years, and then we just see Caleb Williams getting beat to a pulp, like we've seen so many young quarterbacks in this league, and then just never work out. So I agree. We got to keep this O-line intact. A handful of the guys on defense. But this teardown. We're not going to see an entire new 53-man roster next year.
Right.
So like you guys are saying, it's going to be a handful of guys. You're going to see. I think Jeudy and Sutton are both on the table. Sutton may or may not be. They may ride him out for the season. There might be a couple guys like Frank Clark on defense. If people are interested in Jewell or Singleton or anybody else outside of PS2 and probably Simmons, I would like to see him kept around. If someone offers you something, that as far as a contender, if they offer you something you just can't refuse,
right.
you obviously take it. You start thinking about it there. If someone offers you a first and a third, I feel like you got to pull the trigger.
Well, yeah.
At that point,
Yeah, I don't think Simmons is getting that because even though we know how great he is, the contract, and he's still somehow.
McCarr just scored.
Let's go.
Nice.
That's why I don't think you move on from him because I don't think like I said about PS2, you're never gonna get what he's worth, and he's a great guy to have in the locker room. Like you guys were both pointing out. So get rid of the problems that we've seen. Maybe a couple guys that have some draft capital that you wouldn't mind getting rid of because you've got some depth behind them, and let's build Sean Payton's roster up. Let's see what he can do from the ground up from the beginning.
Now, here's a question I have for you guys. Barring injury to Russ, do you think we see Jarrett Stidham start a game for the Denver Broncos this year?
No. Why?
Yes.
I
do.
I think so as well.
Why? I think just because Sean Payton doesn't like him.
Yeah, I think
that's the only reason why. I don't think he should.
How are you going to sit that quarterback when you're paying him that much and Greg Penner be okay with that?
Because I think it was widely reported right after they traded Randy Gregory, a message was sent to the roster.
But okay.
And
who's going to pick up Russ's contract if you trade him?
No, I didn't say trade him.
No.
So, I'm saying Sean Payton sent a message. That was an internal Randy Gregory didn't ask for a release. It was kind of reported. He didn't ask for a trade. That was decided in-house between the front office and Sean Payton. Let's get rid of this guy. And it sent a message throughout and that James Palmer alluded to it on NFL Network. Like it was a message to the rest of the roster. Like if you're going to underperform, and of course I'm not saying Russ is underperforming, but if we go into the bye as a 1-win team, like it's that starts to get to the point where it's like, you can't just keep running out there with the same stuff. And I've kind of brought it up on here before. Like Jarrett Stidham is making a lot of money for a backup quarterback.
But what would be the point?
I think the point is to like almost like that would almost like usher in like the discussion about like to the whole world that and the whole media like, yeah, Russ.
We're done with Russ. We're moving on.
Russ. We're moving on. Like this
whether he's on the roster or not, we're moving on.
Yeah, that's how I agree, Jimmy. That's a good way to put it.
Because you kind of see this happen every year. Come later in the season with 1, 2, 3 win teams. We saw it last year with Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis. Now, granted, Malik Willis was a draft pick, so I think that weighs a lot more into the situation. But you do see it at the end of the season every year where you might have a veteran quarterback. You sit him just possibly just to see what you have sitting behind him. Maybe Stidham is a stud.
Granted,
I don't want it to end up being that way if we're in that situation. I want Caleb Williams in that situation, but I could see it happening because, like I said, Sean Payton doesn't like Russ, and
it sure seems that way.
I don't know if Greg Penner would allow that.
He might not.
I don't know if Greg Penner, like obviously he has all the say in the world because he's kind of the big man in control, but like Greg Penner was also like Sean Payton is here because of Greg Penner. Like that was widely reported throughout the coaching search. Like all the football people in the building wanted, Dan Quinn, and everybody's number one was Harbaugh, obviously, but that situation didn't pan out. But like the only one that kept like really driving Sean Payton home was Penner. And I think Sean Payton's one of those guys that could be like, almost convince Penner to be like, dude, you guys got the money. We'll eat the dead cap. It's time to move on. This didn't work. Because, and it's not Russ's fault.
Not going to be good next year anyways.
Yeah, it's not Russ's fault, but it's not working. And then, like, even though Russ has played good, like, there's been a handful of plays throughout this season that it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, the fumble last week. Like, obviously it was a good defensive play, but like pivotal moment in the game, you're going down, you could tie the game or take the lead, and it wasn't a tipped ball that got intercepted. It was a Russ fumble. The play in Washington when he got the ball punched out and sat there and just looked at it, get jumped on by Commanders defenders. Like you could see, like, obviously it was pretty apparent this past week after he lost that fumble, Sean Payton started kind of chewing him out. And I saw on Twitter, I think it was Tim Jenkins. He's on Broncos Country tonight from time to time. He runs Jenkins, I think it's Jenkins Elite. He's a quarterback coach, and he breaks down film and stuff. And he slowed it down and read Sean Payton's lips. And what he was telling Russ, what it looks like he was telling Russ was, you had the running back hot or something like that, which is like, okay, the play didn't develop right. P. Ryan, get rid of it. I'm in trouble. Drop it down to P. Ryan. So he's sitting there. He's like, the running back was hot, I think it was something along those lines that Tim Jenkins kind of laid out. And as I was watching, oh, that's definitely what he said. So he's telling Russ basic shit. Like, dude, you had it right there. And you roll out with the ball way out in front of you, get it punched out. I don't think that's the last moment we see of Sean Payton and Russ drama on the sidelines. And Russell is not one of those guys that's going to argue back or be cause a scene of any kind. But Sean Payton is. And if you're making Sean Payton's offense look bad, which it's not like Sean Payton's helping himself much not playing McLaughlin more or Mims more, but like Sean Payton cares what people think about him as a coach for sure. And if he's not going to be like, he will probably never come out and say, I failed Russ. The blame will be put, and he might not just come out and say it like, oh, it's Russ's fault, but like it almost be insinuated. Like it was insinuated early in the year when he made a comment about if we need to wristband Russ, we'll wristband it because he's not getting the plays out fast enough. Like that comment was made 2 games into the season, and now you see a public display on the sideline of him kind of getting on Russ's ass. Like, I don't think it's the last we see of it. And I think that's why I brought up the question. Like, I can see Stidham late in the season, maybe starting a game or at some point, like he's coming in for Russ. I think we see Jarrett Stidham play football as a starting quarterback for the Broncos at some point this year.
Then that means if you bring him in, Russ is getting cut.
Yeah, I mean Russ is done.
Wilson is getting cut, and you're taking.
Nobody's going to trade for him. You will never trade him.
Right?
No.
But then the whole restructuring contract concept is out the window, unless.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, unless you could talk him into restructuring and trading.
Yeah.
Yes, I just won my parlay. Well, Avs have to win, but I had the game going 3.5 over, and then McKinnon goal, anytime goal scorer, and then Avs money line. So Avs are looking really good, man. I don't know if you guys have been watching this.
I've been peeking at
it.
This is a good team.
Yeah.
They're going for the cup again, boys.
Yeah.
But anyways, oh, Russ.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. I mean, he has been playing well. I think if he wanted to save his career or make an attempt to, he would have to restructure his contract and try to get traded somewhere.
Yeah.
Or just the first attempt at it would be just restructuring because like the cap space that he's taking up right now and has put the Broncos in a very tough situation.
He'd have to go to a team that's established, 1, and 2, I don't know. Who is that team?
Right. I was just about to say that. I mean, who's that team?
The Jets were that team last year.
The Falcons.
Right. The Falcons?
They've got an underrated defense, really good weapons on offense, good O-line.
Maybe the Bucs.
They run the
look
crap
good with
out
Baker.
of the ball. Yeah. Yeah, I just you have to Russ has to restructure. I think if him restructuring to me would show like I want to be here. I want to be part of this solution. If he were not to restructure, it's like almost him being like, well, I'm not giving up what you already promised me and, figure it out. And that's not what we literally, the Broncos literally can't afford to rebuild with Russ as the quarterback.
Right. So.
And I'm just a freaking dude. Like, Sean Payton and people in the building probably understand that as well. So that's why, I just don't want them to be like, oh, the defense is bad. We got a top pick in this upcoming draft. We'll draft a top edge rusher. That is the most Broncos thing I can see happening. And that's what I'm scared of. That's why it's almost like I want to see.
Throw up.
Right. But that's in the outcomes. Or landing a top 3-4 pick and trading out, accruing draft capital to fill more holes around Russ. That's why it's almost like I just want to know, obviously we'll know their intentions, I think, a little more after they lose to the Chiefs. The moves they start making after that, especially with the mini bye, having the 10 days off instead of the normal 7, and then 2 more weeks, and then you have your full bye. I think that bye week is when you'll really see the Broncos' intentions on the season. Well, I think that'll be after the trade deadline. So yeah, stuff will.
I think it's the week after. Might be the week of. But I think I figured out that team though that might be actually willing to take Russ. Maybe now, but probably after a restructure. Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, I don't know.
Dude, Jerry Jones is gonna do it, man.
That's a hot take right there.
I mean,
he wouldn't make them better because he is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
And they're, I mean, on paper they're underperforming like crazy right now
because of Dak. Yeah,
because of their quarterback.
Yeah,
Russ is playing decent right now. If Russ continues to play decent, they've got the good defense. I mean, it didn't show up last week, of course, against the 49ers, but
I just don't. I think the
We'll
biggest
see.
thing is that like you'd have to offload Dak somehow,
Right.
because you literally can't. I mean, because Dak's making a ton of
Honestly,
money as well.
It would probably have to be a swap of some sort. I don't either. But in order to make it happen, that probably would have to happen because of the contracts.
Yeah.
So that's probably not a good suitor.
Yeah,
because we don't want
definitely
Dak.
don't. I definitely don't see Russ getting traded in season. That would be like the ultimate.
Not in
like,
season, no. Not
we
in
are. We are starting this thing like that would be like the ultimate like. Oh
that'd
shit!
be like
We're
headline
tanking.
news.
Oh, that would be huge. Yeah, that would be like, yep, they're tanking.
Russ to the Cowboys. Fuck, that'd be wild.
I mean,
Cowboys
Herschel
would be
Walker,
better. They would be
the other way around.
because the
Yeah,
Cowboys are a more established team. Their defense is pretty good, and if they had
I
someone like Russ,
their
I
defense
think
is
they're the
really
one
good.
established team that would trade for him. I don't think anybody else. I can't think of anybody else that would even trade for him. I'm not saying in season, just off season.
I think I saw, and the only reason I say this is because I saw somebody like literally Photoshop Russ into a Falcons jersey. Like I think that makes a lot of sense as well because they do have like an upcoming roster and they're the best. They run the ball better than like anybody in the league, like efficiency wise, which is
Desmond
obviously
Ritter ain't it.
and Desmond Ritter is not it. But the Falcons are good enough to win like probably 6-7 games this year. Maybe not 7, but like 5 to 6 games. So they're probably not going to be in the running for one of those true elite quarterbacks early in the draft. And yeah, go get a guy like Russ to hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson and dump off to Bijan Robinson a ton and just let him run wild. Play
hit
good
up Kyle
defense.
Pitts.
Yeah. Somebody please throw the ball to Kyle Pitts. A catchable.
There's a few teams out there that would go get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard too though because I think Russ has like caused a lot of damage to himself.
I know.
Based on his play from last year. And of course, like we're up close and we see it on the front row seat of watching like every step of the way. Like we know it wasn't all on him last year. And we know he's performing pretty well this year, like good enough to win. Like if we talked about it, I think we were texting it. Yeah. It was after Nathaniel Hackett was freaking parading around like they won the Super Bowl after the Jets won. Like if he had this defense last year, the Broncos probably would have gotten the freaking haul that the Panthers gave to the Bears because if Hackett had this defense last year, they would have not won a single game.
No.
Right.
But if this kind of offense, like if we saw this Russ last year, like, we would have a little bit more to, hope for. But Russ, like with the off-field, not antics, but like kind of the image that he portrayed last year and then just not being able to back it up and not be able to perform. Like, I don't know, like if anybody is dying to go get Russell Wilson. And that's like the hard part for poor Russ. Cause like this, and he might be aware, like this could be his last attempt at salvaging his career before he turns into just like a really overpaid backup somewhere.
What an ending to a career that would be. Just such a lucrative career.
one of the. I mean, isn't it the best or one of the best first 10 years of a career? Yeah. And then just such a downslide.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just like the public perception of Russ is so bad right now. Like, it has not recovered from last year, obviously. And then, like, did you guys see like the Marshawn Lynch interview with Shannon Sharpe?
Yeah,
that is hurting. I watched a lot of like the clips of that.
But Marshawn Lynch, he doesn't seem like the type of guy that has a lot of friends, though.
But he wasn't. But Marshawn Lynch, I don't think was saying anything like necessarily bad about Russ either. But it's just because of who Russ is and the image he has. Like, people took it one way. Like he said, like, Russ was just a quarterback to me. I'm sure a lot of people could say that. And it looked bad because Shannon Sharpe was talking about like how Elway was like one of the boys. Well, Elway is also one of the greatest to ever step on a football field. Like, he's in a tier above like to Russ. Right, exactly. But there's just more and more coming out. Like, Richard Sherman is like a really big Russ hater now. Like, obviously
I don't give a shit what Richard Sherman says. That guy is but I'm
right. I agree, but just like Russ did not seem to make many friends in Seattle, and it's followed him here.
Oh, fight.
And big fight.
Let's go.
Is this the second scuffle we've seen?
Get him, Logan. Come on, man.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Too. Oh no. Nice. You gotta love it.
All I'm saying is Russ has not done himself any favors for his future.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the best thing you can do is, like you said, first step, restructure that godforsaken contract and, take some Will Ferrell, take some money up front and cut your cap hit in half. If you like you said, if you want to be a part of the solution, you gotta meet us halfway here, man.
Yeah,
because we can't do shit with this contract.
They really can't. I mean,
you think Russ will do it? Based off history, it doesn't sound like he's the type of guy that would do that.
Exactly, and that's kind of why I brought up like Sean Payton sent a message. Like, he does not seem like one of those guys to do that, because like Russ is a celebrity. He's not just an athlete. Like, he's married to a megastar. He has his own brand. Like, and it's all because of football, obviously, and it's because of how successful he was. But he does not seem like a player to me that would take a massive pay cut, and that's what it would have to be like. Because what do the Broncos do? Like, you restructure him and extend him for another couple years and really front load the contract? Like, I'm no cap freaking person, but like, how do they, even if they were to try to restructure, like, how would they go about it?
You basically take off. So you would have, like, it would be a big cap hit next year.
Right.
Because you're paying up front, but then it would lower significantly.
Right. But they're already projected at negative $20 million next year.
You can convert some of the money to signing bonuses to take it out of the cap.
Yeah.
That's true. And if anybody's willing to do that, it's the richest owners in all of sports.
Right. I mean, that's chump change. So,
well, that's how you do it too. You tell them, we're not going to actually pay you all that much less, but we're going to give it to you all now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't even know if I don't see Russ as a person to necessarily do it, and that's why Jarrett Stidham will probably play some football for the Broncos this year. And honestly, and this really sounds bad, and I don't think Sean Payton's this type of guy, even though he was behind Bounty Gate. Like, he might be hoping for like a Russ broken freaking finger or something. Like, pull your hammy, whatever the case is, to ease that transition, because I don't think
you'll never see him again, essentially, in a Broncos uniform.
Right. Like, I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting game tomorrow, because like obviously I don't think the Broncos have a chance at winning. I mean, everybody they say any given Sunday, of course.
Yeah, this
Anything
is
can happen.
historically bad.
Good thing it's
football.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
But
with the historically worst defense of all time since the 1700s.
and
So
the Vikings defense is up there. They're pretty damn bad, and they had a chance to win it last week. And don't forget the Colts. They were horrendous last year. They beat the Chiefs. I'm just saying, I don't think they're gonna
Stop.
win. I don't think they're gonna win.
stop
But,
it,
I
Anthony.
mean,
Don't
but-
give me hope.
no, I'm not. This is not hope. It would be an absolutely worthless loss.
We
The only thing that it would do,
Compromise
I'd
our
be-
draft. Yeah.
yeah, I'd be happy because you broke the streak. That is the benefit of winning tomorrow.
That's it.
Is
Literally, that's
breaking
the
the
only
streak.
thing.
Do you guys remember the last game the Broncos won against the Chiefs? Do you remember which game it was?
The playoff.
No. It ended 30 seconds left in the game. D Ware punched the ball out from Jamal Charles and Roby scooped and scored.
Yeah, that was the playoff game.
No, that was early in the regular season.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think that was like
Positive.
September or October. It was
Yeah,
early
that
in the
was-
season.
That was early in the year.
Oh yeah, because we
It
got
was
our
2015.
We got our butt
Yep.
kicked the second game because Peyton Manning had that
Yep.
broken.
That was like-
whatever.
Yeah, he
Four
had the
picks.
all-time. He became the all-time passing
Mhm.
yards
Yeah,
leader
he's just holding
And-
up the football like nothing.
because they were playing.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
That's the day Brock came in and
Sorry.
kept playing for us throughout the rest of the season until the
Yeah.
Chargers.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny you bring up that season, Anthony. Jimmy and I were talking a little bit about that, how historically great that defense was. I was referring back to the Packers and Broncos game, that Sunday night game. The Broncos held Aaron Rodgers, and he was an MVP candidate that year with Cam Newton, if you remember. We were both
Yep.
6-0 going into that football game. And everyone and their mother was picking Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers to hand us our first loss. And we went in there, beat him 29-10. We held Aaron Rodgers 14 of 28 for 77 yards.
Mm-hmm. The good old days.
Right.
I remember people saying that it was like the worst game of his football career, like dating back into high
Yeah.
school and everything that they could get records of.
Yeah, that Broncos defense in 2015 had a knack for doing that.
Mhm.
The fly zone.
God, that was awesome.
Good old days, boys.
Yeah.
Remember when back in the day?
Hey, at least we're still not as bad as Cowboys fans.
Yeah.
That's true. No, we should never become that, okay?
No.
Ugh.
As long as we just keep beating the Cowboys, we're good.
They
Yeah.
do own the Cowboys for some reason.
Mhm.
Like every
Broncos
time they
do,
play,
yeah.
no matter what.
I love it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, boys. Well, it's getting pretty late, so I think we should call it. But some interesting conversations. I knew this was going to be an interesting podcast, and
You guys want score predictions?
a lot.
Might as well. We do it every week.
Right.
Okay. 42, 15, or 20 Chiefs.
Give me. I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic about our defense, Zach. Give me 35-21.
No, I think that like when I was thinking about this game, like it's not like the Chiefs offense has been the Chiefs offense we're used to seeing. Obviously, they have not played the Broncos yet,
Yeah, right.
but
They'll come alive.
We'll figure it out.
but
Checo will have like 300 yards rushing.
especially if like Kelsey doesn't end up playing, it could get interesting.
Yeah, but
But-
Nolan Green isn't bad.
He's not Travis Kelsey. Like, and you saw that in week 1 against the Lions. Like, the Chiefs and the Lions have a really good defense, but like the Chiefs' offense is like lost. Patrick Mahomes seems lost without Travis Kelce out there. And it sounds like, I think I was seeing that he's trending towards playing, but the Broncos will probably get gashed on the ground again because Isaiah Pacheco is a pretty damn good running back. And he breaks a lot of tackles, and that's something that the Broncos defense just doesn't seem to know how to do very well, is tackle a ball carrier. So I think I honestly don't. I think the Chiefs' defense is like the biggest concern for the Broncos tomorrow. And for that reason, I think the Broncos put up like 13 points. And I'm going to go 29. No, I'll go 31-13 Chiefs.
Cool,
Run the ball crazy.
Yay.
Get some big shots down the field.
Yeah.
Russ will probably turn the ball over. Peyton will
But
probably yell at
remember,
him.
this is the beginning. This is the ending to a new beginning, boys. This is how we're viewing it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes. Finally, the years of all of this, we're a quarterback away, we're a new head coach away, we're a new coordinator away, we're this away, one this away. It's over. We're done with this. We're a whole team away. Okay. We're an entire football team away.
Yep.
So starts now. Starts tomorrow night. But
yeah,
it really starts now. So
yep.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But until then, I will watch the Avalanche and the Nuggets.
Absolutely.
Alrighty,
True
boys.
that.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Appreciate you taking the time, as always. I know it hasn't been ever since I started this podcast. This hasn't been good. So
We've had some moments.
We're looking forward to some good years going forward.
It's coming back around.
We've said it many times.
Yeah.
One day we're not gonna have to talk about this stuff.
Right.
One day
we're gonna be talking about, oh man, who can we draft in the first round at 32nd or 31st?
Yeah, hopefully.
How overmatched are we against this defense?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Who's the perfect piece that we can add to take Caleb Williams really over the top?
Right. Yeah.
Which rotational piece can we bring in this offseason?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Caleb Williams, he's made it to 2 AFC championship games. He just can't get it over that hump. And then we bring in freaking, I don't know, Steven Smith Jr., and he comes in and he's like, or Steven Smith III, the new prodigy, just like Marvin Harris Jr. was.
Yeah.
And he is just the next Tyreek Hill, you know.
Reggie Wayne Jr.
Yeah, Reggie Wayne Jr. I wish Jerry Rice's son would have stayed with us in Colorado. I was thinking about that. But I don't know if Jerry Rice would have wanted Dion to coach his son.
Probably not.
Based on that past.
There'd probably be quite a bit of shit talking happen.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Man, those two did not like each other.
Mm-mm.
But anyways, looking forward to it, gents. Looking forward to having a happy podcast sometime in the near future. It hasn't been bad, but it'll be nice if once our team's good.
Yeah.
So we can just have fun talking about
good football.
Yeah, exactly. Competent football.
Yeah.
But all right, gents, did you have any final thoughts?
I did want to mention one thing. It's not Broncos related. RIP, rest in peace, Brendan Malone. Passed away yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yes, definitely. That's cool. You got to see Michael win his finals.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Because he was a coach in the league for a while, wasn't he? Brendan Malone?
Yeah, for a long time.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Very successful coach, I believe, too.
Yeah, that's cool. His son. I'm sure that meant a lot to Michael. So, Coach Malone finally getting that finals. So, but yes, good. That's a good one, Jimmy.
Yeah, if anyone was wondering, that's why he wasn't with the team yesterday. He was away with his family.
Yeah, I did hear about that. But alrighty, gents. Well, Have fun watching the game tomorrow. I'm assuming you guys are watching it, but we'll see what happens.
Every play, unfortunately.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
like a car accident.
You got to stop and look.
Right.
Hold up traffic. Exactly.
Man.
All right. You guys have a wonderful night and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.